there has recently been a propensity to play the blame game. One country is looking at another and saying, "This is your fault." However, it is important on local levels, national levels, and international levels for the survival of communities, for the survival of states and nations, and for the survival of the world, that there be unity. The lack of unity, the creation of division, is ultimately dangerous to the survival of humanity itself. And it is definitely spiritual devolution rather than spiritual evolution. So, let us tell you now a little about the origins of COVID-19. This has been a question that should never have been a question. It has been pushed politically to a dangerous point. We have told you before, this is an ancient virus. Perhaps slightly more correctly, it would be to tell you this is from an ancient family of viruses that have existed since the dawn of humanity. These viruses do evolve just as humanity has evolved. All things evolve. Evolution is a part of all of creation. Your world is evolving. Universes evolve. All life evolves. Even the divine evolves. God is evolutionary. So, when we tell you something has existed forever, it does not mean it has been static. Understand that. But the virus and the base from whence it has come has been a part of your world as long as you have been in it. COVID is not new. It is ancient. It has been introduced to humanity before. And understand, human populations have varied over thousands and thousands of years. The Americas were once very populous. Do you think there were fewer than millions of Native Americans in the Americas when the Europeans discovered it or discovered them, depending on whether you want the Americas to be one body or several continents, or how you wish to view them, or scientifically divide them or count them. Oh, when the Europeans came to the Great Turtle Nation, it had been inhabited, and it had laid desolate, and it had been inhabited. and it had lain desolate. Just as Asia and Europe had been inhabited and laid desolate and been inhabited. For populations can come and go, and even the population throughout all of the world today could suddenly go the way of many of the ancient world populations. That being said, let us address directly then where COVID-19 has come from. As the COVID viruses have been alive and kept alive in various animal populations for thousands and thousands of years, the question only becomes, how did it become transmitted to the human population, and from whence did this particular version of the COVID virus come? Now, there have been conjectures that such came from Wuhan, and there have been foolish and wrong conjectures that such was laboratory made. There have been conjectures that it has come out of a lab or that it has come out of a wet market. But there were other outbreaks of this virus, and there have been known cases, or should we say there are cases that you have failed to document, that were existent before this virus was discovered. There have been cases in several other locations in China, cases in the Americas, and cases in Europe that you will find trace before the initial outbreak of this in the Wuhan area. Oh, you say, how could that be? Well, first of all, you weren't looking for it. Second of all, you would not be able to go back and test now to find where this came from, would you? But let us tell you what has caused this. It has been caused by greed. Greed has caused both poaching and deforestation. And as you have driven animals from their initial domain, you will find they have interacted more with humanity, but more so in the poaching, just as with Ebola, you stand the chance of bringing some untethered virus into the human domain. And when we say untethered, we mean one that has not hitherto been let loose, but which has the potentiality or the ability to spread because there is no existing or incumbent resistance to it. So, this then has come from the animal kingdom, which, by the way, has been exacerbated by the change in environment, which has been enhanced due to mankind's burning of fossil fuels. But understand that this is minor in comparison to some of the bacterium and other things that can be released from the soil, especially if the ice melt continues in the north and south polar areas. So you should be preparing for much worse than this minor inconvenience. Not to mention that while you may deny the science of this, climate change in and of itself will become such an issue that science can no longer be denied. And yet you see clear scientific evidence, due to the less burning of fossil fuel at the moment and the cosmetic healing of your planet, how much could take place if you would just try to heal your planet. How much difference could take place, how much healing could occur. You also see from this how quickly things can go wrong, for as quickly as it seems to heal, it can descend into chaos. For that is on the same exponential edge as is the spread of a virus. So, we tell you, and this is important for you to realize, that unity is important to the survival of humanity. If you simply blame each other, you may cause wars and division, but you also will not accomplish conquering something as simple as a virus, or overcoming something as tragically devastating as global warming. Therefore, spiritual principles apply. Unity is the way forward. If you continue to divide against each other, have tribal ways, and approach each other in competitive ways, what you will do is ultimately leave pockets behind, pockets of humanity, where disease and distress and trouble can brew. This will ultimately create worldwide problems and will ultimately lead to the destruction of humanity. So, from whence comes COVID-19? From nature. Now, God did not send this as a punishment. For understand, the divine is love and is forgiven. Nature is harsh and unforgiving. When you destroy nature, nature repays in kind. When you seek love, God is made manifest in you. God expresses in response to catastrophe. So God's judgment is not to be seen in nature. Rather, God is to be found in humanity's unified and loving response to nature. The hurricane that destroys as a result of your building in the wrong places, that is nature simply doing what nature does, being nature. You're helping each other and providing food and housing and rebuilding. That is divinity being expressed through humanity. Earthquakes that rip apart residential areas, that are caused as a result of fracking and drilling into the earth and siphoning the oil that provides cushioning. Those earthquakes, they are nature. They're not judgment, they are nature. they happen, they are without forgiveness because they're simply cause and effect. But the response of people giving medical aid and food and help, that is God being manifest through man. So, where did the virus come from? The virus came from nature. It is natural. Your response either shows your foolishness or your divinity. We leave you with blessings and with peace. Peace be with each of you.